What's up? Happy Friday, everybody. Cinephile Mike is here, and it is day 64 of Oscar Rewind, my bi-weekly series of video commentary that reflect the work of this past year's Oscar nominees and winners. I'm digging deep into those IMDb profiles, and my hope is that you will discover a new, older favorite, or maybe revisit something you haven't seen in a while. As always, I'll be discussing the recent Oscar connection, awards history for the film, box office information, critical response, and as always, these reviews are spoiler-free. Now, before I dive in, do me a favor, click that subscribe button because you definitely don't want to miss any of the fun coming your way on the channel this season coming up. So, here on Rewind, we are wrapping up Pride of the Lion Week on Music Month, and I am looking at all those nominees that were won, took home the prizes, or got so close in the Best Original Score and Best Original Song categories. And tonight may be a little controversial as I dig into Walt Disney Pictures' classic, beloved by the masses, The Lion King. Directed by Roger Allers and Rob Minkoff from a screenplay by Irene Mecchi, Jonathan Roberts, and Linda Wolverton, and a story idea from over a dozen other people. The film was released in the summer of 1994 when Disney was in the midst of its Renaissance era with The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, and Aladdin, and has since this film become a worldwide sensation that spawned several direct-to-DVD sequels, a cartoon show, a Broadway show, live-action remakes, prequels, and the original has had several re-releases over the years. To date, the film currently sits with a box office take of $424,979,720 domestically, with an additional $553,942,764 internationally, for a worldwide total of $979,161,373. I'm sure at some point Disney will re-release this one again to try to get it to cross that billion-dollar mark. Critically, the film is high with a critical rating of 92% from 172 reviews and a 93% popcorn meter culled from over 250,000 audience reviews. Award season-wise, the music was the star. The film ended its run with 4 Oscar nominations, 1 for Best Score for Hans Zimmer, and 3 for Best Song. 3 in the one category for lyricist Tim Rice and the reason we are here today, music writer Elton John. Of the 3 nods for the classics Hakuna Matata, Circle of Life, and Can You Feel the Love Tonight, it was the latter that took home the Oscar. That was John's first Oscar, and it would be 25 years before he entered the conversation again, winning his second Oscar in 2020 for I'm Gonna Love Me Again, with longtime partner Bernie Taupin, and this past year, he was nominated alongside Brandi Carlile, Andrew Wyatt, and Taupin for the song Never Too Late from the documentary of the same name about his career and his last tour. Aside from the Oscars, The Lion King dominated in the music categories that year, winning at the BAFTAs, the Grammys, and the Golden Globes, which also made it the second animated film in history to be nominated for Best Picture, Musical, or Comedy, behind Beauty and the Beast, and, not surprisingly, the film won several Annie Awards. So, let's get into it. The Lion King opens with the birth of young Simba, voiced by Jonathan Taylor Thomas. He is the heir apparent to rule his father's kingdom within the Circle of Life. His father, Mufasa, voiced by the legendary James Earl Jones, recognizes a lot of spirit in his son, but needs him to calm it down a little bit. But Simba, he's a little too big for his britches, and he just can't wait to be king. Yeah, I've got a couple more of those coming. A fun fact is that he is excited to share with his less than enthusiastic uncle, Scar, voiced by Jeremy Irons. Scar believes that he is the one who is meant to rule the Pride Lands and not be relegated to his less than desirable environment. Slowly, recognizing an energy in Simba, he gets prepared to stage a coup. And with the help of his faithful friends, the hyenas, that preparation moves. Along with Shenzi and Banzai and Ed, voiced by Whoopi Goldberg, Cheech Marin, and Jim Cummings, respectively, he sets his plot in motion. Causing a wild stampede that places Simba in harm's way, Mufasa races to save him, and for details I will leave out for the possible few that have not seen this movie, through a series of events, sadly, Mufasa is killed, and Simba believes that it is his fault, and he needs to run away, clearing the path for Scar's leadership to go unchallenged. Simba, meanwhile, runs and inevitably meets two new friends, Timon, a meerkat voiced by Nathan Lane, and Pumbaa, a warthog voiced by Ernie Sabella. And these three forge a found family for years. And as they have no worries, Hakuna Matata, Simba grows up, and as an adult is now voiced by Matthew Broderick. All seems fine until one night he can feel the love when confronted by a lioness, Nala, voiced by Moira Kelly, whom Simba remembers from his youth. Telling him how things are in the Pride Lands under Scar's rule, Simba has to decide if he will stay in his new comfortable life or take his rightful place in the circle of life. Okay, I'm done with the song puns. All right, so now for the controversy. Look, let me talk about the good first with this film. Visually, this film is stunning. I mean, look at this poster. I remember being enraptured in the theaters when I saw it as a kid. This lush color palette, the sweeping CGI, and the hand-drawn animation, the African landscape, whether it was the lush Pride Lands, and even the depressing outlands where Scar lives near the Elephant Graveyard looked amazing. It's stunning. And the music, the reason we're here, Elton John did not disappoint. For me, look, a musical, especially Disney, if there are 1 to 2 songs that really stick with me, that kind of stay in my head, I feel it's a success. And Disney does have a decent track record for this. And while Hakuna Matata is not as beloved to me as other people, Can You Feel the Love Tonight and Circle of Life are on my constant Disney playlists. I'm even a really big fan. I loved Be Prepared. It's such a great villain anthem. Now, as for the performances, I'm not going to get into the whole debate over the representation of the actors who were hired to voice these characters. It was the 90s. It was Disney's thing. They went for big names. I'm not going to get into all of that. But the one that I will call out, because I really do enjoy it, is Jeremy Irons. He's excellent. His suavity makes Scar such a beautifully seductive villain in the Disney echelon of the smooth talkers, like Eleanor Audley as Maleficent, John Hurt as the Horned King, Tony Jay as Frollo. Where I really know I do not love this film, and I've said this for years, it's the script. This marriage of Shakespeare's Hamlet and the manga Kimba the White Lion in some ways feels lazy. I know Disney films are all based on source material, but why these two? And while, maybe I could even maybe get behind Hamlet a little bit, no to the Kimba, but you have to go a little bit deeper. And look, Hamlet's not even my favorite Shakespeare play. Another controversial statement. Please don't take away my acting card. I will say, like all of Shakespeare's plays, it's so layered and rich. And I feel that Disney really trivializes a lot of it. The complex layers of relationships that make that work, it doesn't land here for me. I mean, what makes a lot of this film move to its conclusions are a lot of, forced coincidence that's written into this. Like, for example, we wouldn't even move into our climax if, out of that whole expanse of the continent of Africa, Nala just happened to chance upon Simba. And that's just one piece. Look, for a film of its time, Disney, I recognize what you did, but it's one of those Disney films that while I loved it as a kid and I didn't know as well, upon the years, I'm like, you know what? This is one. I haven't even really watched this one in a few years, but it was very easy for me to do this recap because you know how when you have those films that you're not a fan of, but you've been discussing them for so many years, it just kind of sticks in your head. So I did rewatch it for this, and it was the first time I think I'd watched the film in 20 years because it wasn't one that I had really gone back for. But I will say this, it's a lot better than watching those awful remakes and the prequels that we've had, the live action ones, which I think I've talked about in earlier seasons, either in Razzie recognition or somewhere else. So look, if pushed, I'll pick this one over any of those. Talk about a cash grab. Anyway, let's keep it focused. Despite a not so great script and premise, the music soars and visually, on mute, this film is stunning. It's one of those that you could put on just to kind of appreciate for the visual. For me, The Lion King, people may not like this, is just a middle-of-the-row 3-star film for me. The good balances the bad, and, it's an okay film. It's not amazing or great. It's not atrocious. It's just, it's here. given the love for this, I would love to hear what people think in the comments. Do you agree with me? Do you not? Are you someone like me who loved it at first and then came to realize, you know what, not so much? Has this always been your favorite? Has this been like the one that you've never liked? Let me know in those comments. As of this recording and posting, you can find The Lion King streaming on Disney+. We're going to be moving ahead next week as we start to wrap up Music Month and look at another few films. As always, if you like what you heard here, please subscribe to the channel, like and share the video, spread the word, drop comments, join the conversation. You can follow me, Cinephile Mike, on all social media platforms and on Letterboxd, and find lots of great additional content and exclusive reviews from a lot of fall film festivals I'm covering on my website, cinephilemike.com. All right, happy watching, everyone, and until next time, this is Cinephile Mike saying take a break and watch something new.